back to the spider's web, and in front of us you can see the figures we've been doing in the last, what's the word I'm looking for, in the last 2 videos that we've done. So we've got our zombies, we've got our ghosts, and we've got our Banshee as well. Let's have a look at the Banshee, shall we? Now, as you can see, the blue has gone on quite well. I think I will just go over a little bit with a white dry brush. Not too much though, just to make it a little more paler, especially around the arms and the flesh areas. This is the one that I'd missed an edge on. It's had 1 coat of the Null Oil so far, while the others have had 2. Now I do quite like the look of these. So I'm going to put those to one side because I'm going to call those finished, and before we go any further I'm going to give this 3rd one another coat of Null Oil. So it's easily done. You saw me doing this in the first video. It's just a case of making sure that everywhere of this is covered in the Null Oil. I want to try and get the majority of it in the crevices, but we're also trying to colour the rest of it to make it a little darker. Now, my throat is very dry today and I don't know why, but hope I can manage to get through these videos okay without starting whispering like I was the other week. So what we're going to be doing next is, after this, looking at the zombies and trying to get these finished. I want to try and get, I've got loads to get through yet from the base game. I want to get through them. I want to try and get them done because, as I say, in a few nights we're going to be having a games night, and I want to try and get as many of these painted as I can. I don't like playing games on video where the minis aren't painted, but that's a case of hoping I can get it done. So any spare moments I have is going to be taken up with trying to get these finished. Okay, so that's given a 2nd coat. Next, as I said, we're going to be doing a quick dry brush on the Banshee. I'll try and get just make it a little bit paler. I'm not going way overboard with this. So we're using white scar and a little bit on our brush, moving most of it, and just, as I said, focusing mainly on the skin, which we've done. I just want to add a few more spots here and there, and again just add a little more paint to the brush, scrape it off, wipe it off, and then we can gently just brush over any bright edges here, or any edges here that we want brightening up. It's just gone on a little bit too strong for my liking, and that's the only reason we're doing this. It's just a little bit dark, that's all. There we go, so I've managed to make the skin look a lot paler, as well as highlight some of the areas that need highlighting. You want the tiniest bit of paint on the brush for this technique, because you don't want to be overpowering the blue. You want to be picking out edges, and that's all. There we go, and she is done. So that's sorted. Next, we are going back to our zombies. Now what I want to do before we start off on them is just to show you exactly what I do want to get through. Okay, so we have three dwarf revenants, three armoured zombies, a zombie dwarf king, Grund I think his name is. We have three zombie trolls, and moving those out of the way, we also have a zombie troll shaman, the elf and the wizard, and Mortibris. They're the figures, the minis. We also have a bookcase, a dresser, the dwarf tomb, and where the devil are they? Barrels and chests which haven't even been primed yet. So I have my work cut out for me. I don't think I'm going to get it done, but I'm trying to be positive about this and try and get as much as I can done in the space of the next few days. So not all of them will be painted, so we're just going to have to deal with it. And I brought the well back in because I'm now going to be, before we do anything else, just using a little bit of hard coat. Give it a good shake into it and just go over the water with that, and then it will give a nice shiny look as though it is actually water. It's down there. And that's that. The well is finished. The only thing remaining for that well now is to wait for it to dry. Okay, so where were we? Zombies. Right, let's have a look at these zombies. As you can see, there's some gunk spilling out of them. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. I do like that. All I'm going to do now for these three zombies is using, when I can find it, Agrax Earthshade. All that's going to happen is another coat on here. And that's it. I'll keep coming back to this to make sure that it's covered enough. But that's all what's going to happen with these zombies. And they're incredibly simple to work with. Just like so. Oops. I'm trying to go over the head as well with the brown. It looks as though there are strands of hair there, so if I do that and give them all a little difference at the top that way, makes it look as though they do have a little bit of hair. I'm going over as well anywhere where it just looks white. It doesn't make any difference if it is different colours of washes, it just adds to that overall look. Yeah. And that's that for them. Now let's get back to these and what we're going to be doing with this fella. Well, let's look, shall we? Now, as we've seen, this is the one with the black hair. We're going to be highlighting the hair and highlighting the coat, the shirt or whatever it is he's wearing, and the trousers. I can't remember what colours I've used for these, so let's just make it up as we go along, shall we? If I remember rightly, there was a little bit of the Deathworld Forest in the mix. In fact, that's that colour there, if I recall correctly. I'm going to use that on the jackets because we've changed the colour of the trousers, and all we're going to do is just touch up here and there with a few little marks. Nothing overly dramatic. One, and I know this wasn't the colour that we used for the jacket, but since putting the wash on it's changed it slightly, and this is a colour we can use now for it. Now we don't need to, as I sweat about this too much, make sure all the details are done. This, because we aren't going putting this into competition. This is just a gaming figure. We'll not be looking at this too closely on the table. As long as it's looking okay, it's all that matters. All we need to do is make sure that there's some highlights and shadows with it, and if there is, it will look okay. Okay, so that's that done. Next, what I want to do is using some of the Ushabti bone, which is a pale creamy colour. and this we are going to add to the palette and use a much narrower or finer brush rather than this. This one we've been using. The one we used for that previous one was the Regiment brush. What we're going to be using this time is the detail brush. But we can see that all the paintwork's coming off, well, all the printing's coming off the brushes, so after a while we're not going to be able to find out what it is. And for this we're going to be going into the greenish colour paint that we've just used, and then add some of the Ushabti bone, just to take off the creamy colour. That's all we're doing with that for. And then we're now going to hit the model with its highlights. Doesn't need much. You're not going to be able to get away with much because they aren't they are nice models, but they're just one piece models. They're not any particular work of modelling art, so you don't need to spend an absolutely enormous amount of time trying to get every little detail done, because the detail in them isn't that brilliant. Don't think you have to do a work of art for every model you paint. You don't. Go with what is available. You know, look at each individual model. You'll see that you'll be able to do things in some models that you can't do in others, and that's just because of the quality of the mould, the quality of the model itself. And you usually find that with these one piece models, they aren't brilliant, but they are more than adequate to do the job that they're intended for, which is game pieces. You can't get away with using these for what you call it, you know, painting competition or anything. That's not what they're for. I want to get a little bit more of the green, a little bit more of the Ushabti bone. Come back into here again. You're not finding any form of detail in these models, so accept that. Just make sure that when you do paint the models that you do them to the best of your ability, and try and just do a good job of painting what you have. Like I said, the plain pieces here are not superb as models, but they are more than superb as pieces for a game. And when all said and done, that's what they are. So it's not worth getting het up about because they don't look as though you can win the Golden Demon Award with it. Don't get worked up over it. Get on with it. Okay, so next we're going to take the very fine detail brush, or the small dry brush rather. Fine detail brush, small dry brush. And in the Administratum Grey, get some brush on your paint. No, paint on your brush. Done. Brush it off, and then just waft over. All you need to do. Done. You can do that as well with the brown one. It's a little slight difference. You can't really get away with it on that because it's too pale. So for that you're going to have to use something like white, which we want to go into now. And again, when you're doing dry brushing, make sure that the brush is completely dry. You don't want it wet at all. Damp. It's called dry brushing for a reason, and that reason is you use a dry brush. There we go. And that's that done. And what we can do, if you wish, using this now, we can go over and then just to give that appearance of light hitting it. You don't have to do this. I wouldn't normally do this, but it's because of the lack of detail in them. A dry brush will bring out what little detail there is and make it stand out that little better. There we go. And you can see I'm not putting any more paint on the brush. Once this paint runs off and stops coming off the brush, then that's the time to end this bit. I think I'll do the trousers as well. Just like so. Now I'm going to go over and do a little bit more with the blood for the blood god. Add some more blood, but we'll do that later on. Don't need to do that yet. But for now, what I do want to do is using some of the colour that we mixed for the scabbard, and we can mix that in with the highlight colour that we used for the flesh. We're not using this to any big extent, it's just that. That. Oops. And that. That's all. And now we have just a small matter of the hilt of the swords. I'm going to use for that when I can find it. Where have you gone? 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 Oh dear. I keep losing paint. I can't find you anywhere. Oh, there we are. I'm going to use for this dwarf bronze. Use Warplot Bronze for the base coat, if you remember. We'll use Dwarf Bronze now. Again, we're not doing a great amount of paint here. It's just get some on the brush, just a little bit. Blap. Blap. And blap. That's all we're doing. There we go. And those three I'm classing now as done. So that's all the zombies completed. It's all the ghosts completed and the Banshee completed. When I say completed, they're painted. All I have to do now is just go over the bases and paint them in the same way as I did with the skeletons. Another thing I need to do before I continue, just need to cover up a bit of white. It's still showing on here. I'm using the colour that we used for the that we mixed for the highlights of the scabbard. That will do fine. That's all I need for that. There we are. And now we can make a start on the armoured zombies. And they are over here, so let's dig them out. 1, 2 and 3. A little more work to be done on these. You can see they are armoured, they're wearing cloth vestments, a shield, chainmail, helmet, feather, big sword, and just a little bit of flesh, not much. So that isn't a big problem. And when we come back in the next video, we're going to be starting these. Hopefully by then the bases will be done on these ones, and you can see them all in all their glory, as it were. So until next time, as always, take care, God bless, and bye for now.